firecracker in you because you be like,
What's up, you guys? What's up? What's up? It's your girl Stubbs. Welcome to the reboot of the Stubbs Show. It's been about 2 years since you guys last seen me here on the Stubbs Show. My background has changed, but guess what? I'm back. I'm me. I've changed some for the better. I changed a lot for the better. But a lot has happened, and that's why I wanted to open up the show today to talk about resilience. Let me tell you, 2025 was a year, not just for me, but for a lot of people. I know you experienced a lot on last year and was happy to get into 2026, the year of the horse. So I thank you guys for coming back and joining me and sharing the show. Remember, you guys, if you're on Instagram, YouTube, or Facebook, Instagram may be having a little problem tonight, but that's okay. We will get the show up on there if it's not live right now. But Facebook and YouTube, welcome, welcome, welcome. Don't forget, hit the share button, hit the repost button. Go ahead and share it with your friends, put it in their messenger, whatever you got to do, but tell them to log on because it's all about elevation. And the way that we're going to elevate on this show is by giving you tools and talking and teaching you about resilience. So I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be here with you guys. Believe it or not, I'm nervous. I'm nervous. As much as you guys see me all on the internet, I'm posting, I'm doing things. I am nervous on today, but I think it's because I'm a new me. You know, I have grown a lot and I'm happy to be back. So let's get into a quick video for today that I wanted to discuss before we get into, actually, we're running late. I'll do it next time. I'm gonna go ahead and bring my guest to the stage. Let me do his quick introduction and introduce him to you guys and bring him to the stage because he's already in the back studio waiting and I do not want to keep him waiting for long. So let me pull up his intro and let's get him to the stage, you guys. Remember, don't forget, I'm looking for musicians, I'm looking for book authors, I'm looking for motivational speakers. I'm definitely looking for counselors and people of that such to come on and be a guest on the Stubbs Show because it's this season is all about building faith and helping you to get where you need to be. Now, for some, I'm having a few technical difficulties on today, but that's okay. We're gonna get him onto the stage. Here we go. All
Allow
right,
me to
introducing my
introduce you
first
guys to
guest.
my guest, Mr. Kam Knight. He's a coach, international.
Hold on, you guys. It's got me on the stage. I don't want to be up here no more. I want to get him on the stage. Yeah, here we
And
go.
best-selling author of a dozen books in the area of mental.
We're going to take it back for you.
Allow me to introduce you guys to my guest, Mr. Kam Knight. He's a coach, international speaker, and best-selling author of a dozen books in the area of mental, emotional, and physical performance. He is known for bringing fresh solutions and insights that are a real departure from traditional ideas. And because of his perspective, his books have become the gold standard for their respective topics, which has helped over 500,000 people. Wow. When he is not coaching or writing, he is traveling. And he has traveled to over 100 countries around the world. Mr. Knight said that his entire life he has had the question and answers with internal resistance of why is it if I want to do something and I know what to do, I know how to do it, and I have the motivation and desire to do it, but for some reason I can't or don't do it. I know that we all have had that question. So allow me to introduce you to my guest. Let's welcome him to the show.
Good afternoon,
Hey,
Mr. Knight. How are you doing on today? Should I call you Mr. Knight or Cam? Or
you
do
can
you
call
have
me
a
Cam.
nickname?
Yeah, Mr. Knight sounds a bit too formal. I don't think anyone really calls me that.
Okay, Cam, I'll call you
Mm.
Cam. How's your day going?
My day is going fantastic. How about yourself?
It's good. The weather isn't too bad. We're getting over the cold weather here in the DC area, so I'm excited and happy about that. I'm throwing out a little bit. So you're my first guest for this season. So welcome. Thank you for joining me.
Yeah, when you were talking when I was in backstage, I was like, wow, you're restarting and I'm the first guest. So I do feel very honored to be here.
Yes, this show is a leap of faith, and I tell you, it takes a lot of resilience to keep going. So, thank you for coming on to talk about that. So, let's jump right into our questions
Yeah.
for today to get things started. You are a book author as well as an inspiration. International speaker. You travel the
Yep.
world speaking to people about many things, and you have several books. But today, you joined us to talk about resilience. And my first question to you is, when you hear the word resilience, what does it truly mean to you? Because we all know what the definition is in the book.
Yeah. So to me, resilience, and I'm going to give a quick one because I don't think it needs to be too long, is the ability to keep going and moving forward regardless of what's happened or is happening.
That's good. Last year, a lot of people were complaining or speaking about it being a rough year and them going through a lot. And it was a detachment year where you detach from a lot of things. But we all know that when it's time to detach or let go of something, it doesn't always feel good because you want to keep it. And many
Yeah.
times when we're building a brand or a business, we think about just elevation and going up. And when we start to go down and fall, we are rough on ourselves, or we feel like we're failures, and we lost. But my next question to you is, when it comes to resilience, and how do you maintain your confidence in your vision when facing doubt or slow progress?
Yeah. So what I realized is that unsuccessful people, they wait for feelings to be right to do things. And oftentimes they're waiting to feel confident to do things. And what I've noticed is that successful people, they do things regardless of how they feel. So they're not relying on confidence or whatnot to take action and move forward. And so the way how I approach it is I don't rely so much on the mood to decide what I'm going to do and what I'm not going to do. My goal is just to show up. If I can just show up regardless of what's going on and how I'm feeling or not feeling, that's really been the key driver to my success.
That's good because I was just having some technical difficulties with this show when I started, and I was like, "Gosh, what is going on?" I practiced, I did this, but I still showed up.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you brought that up, that you said that, because many times when we're going towards success, things begin to happen to make us feel like attacks or that we should stop and we should, quit. How do we stop the brain or the mind from thinking negative when those things come up? How do you tell yourself that self-talk to say, hey, I'm going to keep going no matter what?
Yeah. So a lot of times the negative thoughts will come up, and I think we feel like we need to manage them or stop them. But just like with our feelings, we can still act and move forward regardless of what the thoughts are saying. So oftentimes when I'm working my business and I'm going through my ups and downs, and my brain is saying this isn't going to work, or do you really want to put this much time here? And I just let the chatter chat, yet I still continue to take action. And this might not be always easy for someone, but this is kind of how I've got myself too. Though, if it's not too easy for someone, the other way is with things like self talk. So, for anyone who doesn't know, self talk are simply statements that you say or repeat to yourself of the changes that you want to have and have happen. For example, if I want to be more successful in dieting, I might repeat statements like, I am healthy and fit. I eat well and exercise regularly. Or if I want to improve my focus, I might affirm statements like, I have excellent concentration. I easily focus on my tasks, activities, and goals. So when the negative chatter is coming up, I oftentimes will just start repeating something positive. And even if I don't believe the positive, or even if it kind of riles up the negative, saying, "How can you say that when so this and this is happening and that's falling apart?" I just keep saying it. And what I found is the brain really responds to our words first. So if we have negative chatter, the brain is kind of going to go in that direction.
Mm.
And if we can start throwing in positive, even if we may not believe it, and even if the negative starts to argue with it, the brain is more likely to go in a more constructive direction. So self talk has been a real huge technique for me. In fact, I am an author of a dozen books, and one of the books I wrote was on self talk, Your Way to Success. And many of my other books dedicate a chapter to self talk. And that's how important I think it is. In fact, even some of the deeper work that I do one on one with clients, I'm always starting them off with self talk because we can do coaching and advice giving and releasing emotions, all that, but we still need to program positivity in. And there's not a lot of way to actually program the mind and unconscious. There's NLP and hypnosis, but I think the easiest and most direct way is with self talk. And the examples I gave are some of the ways we can do it. So taking an outcome that we want, turning it into a statement, and just repeating the statement regularly.
I'm glad that you're being honest and you're saying, a lot of times when we do, like we hear people say, if you want to manifest this or you want this to come into your life, you need to say these words, you need to say affirmations, you need to write it down. And we think, I tried that, I did it. And or how can I think about those things when I'm looking around and my life is a mess? But
Yeah,
stated, you say those things enough and it starts manifesting into your life, and it
yeah.
starts happening because the mind picks it up. So if someone said, well, how long should I do that? I did it for a week, it didn't happen.
It's a very good question because sometimes self talk can work like magic. We could be saying a statement and shifts just happen just from a few statements. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. It can take months. I've had some areas where I was blocked or areas that I wanted to move through, and it
Mhm.
took me several months to maybe over a year of repeating the statements to get the result. Now, somebody might say, well, I got to repeat it for over a year. Well, one of my business mentors, Bill Walsh, I loved one of his quotes. He says, days go slow, but years go fast, meaning you'll be surprised how quickly that year comes. And if you're not repeating the statement, that year will come and you'll still be as stuck, if not more. But if you just continue repeating the statement, you're going to see progress. And like I said, sometimes it can be magic. Sometimes it can literally a few statements of repeating can make that shift. But other times it takes weeks, other times it takes months. And if you really want something, I don't think repeating a statement for a year is actually that long or that hard. It's much easier than the alternative, which is brute forcing things. And sometimes brute forcing just doesn't work, it just leaves us drained. But if we can take a more simpler and consistent approach, we
Mhm.
can get to those targets oftentimes, like I said, like magic.
Yeah, let's talk to the people who may be down right now or who tried their business or tried the brand or tried that something and they failed at it to them. They think that
Yeah.
they fail. In business, setbacks are inevitable. How can people reframe failure so it fuels growth rather than fear?
So there's two main ways we can approach that. One is to understand that it's nearly impossible to succeed without failure. I know there's a lot of
Mm.
talk about, you have to do things right and well, but you and I have never met anyone who hasn't failed to get to that success. In fact, this actually reminds me of one of Michael Jordan's and Nike's commercial back in the 90s, where Michael Jordan was talking about how he's missed X number of shots. He's let go of X number of plays and all these failures. And then at the end, he says, and that's why I succeed.
Mm.
So know that the failure is part of the game. We really can't avoid it. Even some of the most successful people have failed and miserably. So it's better to just kind of accept that that's going to happen. And the other part is to understand that, or to understand why we might fear failure or want to avoid it. It really comes down to pain. So the
Mm.
brain can release some really difficult to sit with emotions when we make a mistake or when we fail. And if that's not bad enough, those feelings linger, not just for a few minutes or even a few hours, but for a few days, weeks, sometimes months. And if that's not bad enough, the mistake or failure can trigger other mistakes and failures we've made, and those feelings can compound. And if that's not bad enough, for some people, making a small failure or mistake can trigger that cycle. And if that's not bad enough, the way some people's brains are wired, even if a person doesn't make a mistake or failure and their brain perceives it, it'll trigger that entire cycle. So, what I'm trying to get at is certain people are just more sensitive to mistakes and failures. And so their brain releases a lot more or more difficult to sit with feelings. And when we look at people who don't have that, they can make a lot of mistakes and failures, but they're not affected by it. So two people can make the same decisions, make the same mistakes, but one can really get derailed just because of how much emotions or negative feelings their brain will release. So how do we help those people who are more sensitive? Is to realize that majority of our mistakes and failure isn't actually to the mistake or failure, but how we'll feel about it.
Mm.
And the good news is majority of our mistakes and failures isn't to the mistake or failure, but how we will feel about it. So if we can realize what we're really fearing is just some brain chemicals, that can be a good way to logically move past some of the challenges that failure brings. So, to summarize, two ways that we can reframe failure. One is to understand we're going to fail, and it doesn't mean that we're less or less successful than somebody who didn't fail. And the other is that what we're really fearing is really some brain chemicals. And if we can accept that, it can make it easier to move forward.
Yeah, those chemical imbalances,
Yeah,
that's why they say the brain can be your worst enemy because it's always searching for something to do, or
yeah,
to think about, as you said. And if the negative is there, it's going to be there. This has been great. And we're short on time, but I'm going to keep it going because I'm like,
sure.
I have another guest. I'm going to bring him on. And if you want to hang out, while he's on, I'll bring you both back in to end the show. But I wanted to ask you, what can you share a major setback that shifted your mindset or your perspective on life?
Oof, I've had a few major setbacks, and I think I'll talk about the first book I wrote. I spent over 2 years writing it. And as I was writing it, there was a part of me that knew this is what I wanted to do, this is what I was made for, and I had something worthwhile to say. But another part was complete imposter. And that imposter part really slowed progress because I always felt unready. I didn't feel like it was good enough. So I would spend so much time trying to perfect my book. Like I
Mm.
would literally spend an hour writing a paragraph, and sometimes I wouldn't even use it. And it took me 2 years to write a book that could have probably been done a lot sooner. And once it was done, I gave it to a couple of people to get feedback. One person said it was really good. Another person said it wasn't good. And for some reason, my mind hooked on to what that person who said it wasn't good. And I was so embarrassed by it, I never published it. In fact, I didn't even talk about it. And what's more, I even blocked it from my memory. I only realized that I wrote it a few years ago when I was kind of going back to work out my story to, when I would get on stages and stuff. And I thought to myself, I'm like, oh yeah, I had written that book, but I was so embarrassed. I push it to the back burner for years. And luckily at the time, self-publishing, Amazon was getting big on self-publishing. And I took that book, a couple of chapters from that book, and expanded them out into their own mini books and they ended up doing well. And luckily, that positive feedback reinforced that I had something worthy to say, and I continue writing. But if it weren't for that experience, I may have never gone down the authorship role. So I guess the lesson to be learned here is our imposter side of ourselves, the one that feels like it's not going to work or people will laugh at us and things like that, can make it seem like that's really the reality. And it can take some feedback and make them much bigger than they really are and cause us to really put ourselves, to really close ourselves off. And I would encourage people not to do that. Not to say every time somebody says something negative that it's not true, but not to take it so harshly
Yeah.
and know that we can always improve.
Don't stick on it, just take that one thing and run with it. Oh, they said it was bad. It's horrible. It's bad now, because the brain can do that. And then when we have other emotions going on, especially as women, we have so many emotions going on. One negative thing can set us all the way back if we listen to our brain. And that's why we have to build and understand the power of resilience. Now, you keep talking about your books, and I want people to connect with you and be able to check out some of your books. Can you please let the people know how to connect with you and where they can purchase some of your books at?
Sure. So my website is kamknight.com, KAMKNIGHT.com. And they can find my books. I have books on speed reading, memory, concentration, creativity, self-talk, visualization, goal setting, and the whole gambit. And now I teach a concept called internal resistance, which answers a question I had my whole life, and that is, why is it if I want to do something, I know what to do, I know how to do it, and I have the motivation and desire to do it, but for one reason or another, I can or don't do it. And they can get that in my website as well. And I also do one-on-one work where I can take people into their unconscious and we work on their resistance directly. It's a much faster way to work through their blocks. And for that, they can email me at coach@kamknight.com.
And we're going to see if you can answer that question just a little bit for us. Or we just got one more question before we let you go. But I'm going to see if I can get this commercial break to pop on up here for you guys. And we'll be right back here on the Stubbs Show. So you guys don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Stub Show. Remember, I am looking for some music videos to play to close out the show. So if you would like to be a part of next week's show, make sure that you connect with me. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, The Stub Show, and you can email us at the LOF network at gmail.com. I would love to play your music if you have some music. I know Mother's Day is coming up, Father's Day. Everybody has a little jingle or new jingle that comes out every year for those special occasions. So if you want to get your music out there, make sure you connect with me. But we're getting ready to get back into my interview with my special guest on today, Kam Knight. We're talking about resilience. For those who have been logged on, I thank you guys for joining us for this conversation, and I hope that you are enjoying it. So let me get ready to bring my special guest back to the stage so that we can finish our, we'll end out this interview, and then make sure you guys can connect with him again and following him on Instagram and Facebook as well, because he has some posts up there. But before I let you go, Mr. Knight, or you, like I said, you can hang out backstage in the studio and close out the show with me and the other guests, or just watch it live. It's up to you. You before we went to break, you mentioned how come it is that we know what we want to do. We have the vision right there in our head. Sometimes we write it out, put it on a dry erase board, make the plan, and then out of nowhere we don't follow through. And as you said, is it the days are long and the year is short, and before you know it, you're saying Happy New Year and you didn't complete that goal? What is that thing that keeps us from doing?
Yeah, so I call that thing internal resistance. And to understand how it works, the part of the brain that creates wants and desires works separately and independent of the part that actually allows us to act on that desire. So this is really important. The part of the brain that creates wants works separately from the part that allows us to act on that want. So we have one part of the brain that's creating wants, and in many ways is unrestrained, creating endless wants one after another. It doesn't check to see if a want is achievable or worth going after. It simply creates wants. And then we have another part of the brain that evaluates the want to see if it's worth going after and pursuing. And if this part doesn't give the green light, we can't act. So what's really important to understand here is that it's possible for both the brain to create a desire for something and at the same time keep us from going after it. And so this is what's really going on. It's like we have the desire, we want to do it, but there's a part of our brain that is slowing progress. And there's many reasons why it will do that. It can go into things like beliefs, habits, comfort zones, identity, self-image, core needs, core pains. It gets pretty nuanced, but know that just because you want something doesn't mean you'll take the necessary steps to go after it. And that's because we have a part of ourselves that is holding us back, and it's really good at holding
Hey,
us
what's
back.
up, you guys? I just want to let you know that.
Sorry about that. Things coming up in
you're
the
good.
thing. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I know it's a long-winded answer, but the human brain is pretty complex. So I just wanted to say that if we get too confident thinking just because we want something, we'll go after it, often when resistance stops us, it can really derail us. But if we can come from the perspective that as we're moving forward, there's going to be parts of our own self that's going to hold us back, is going to put us in a better position to not get derailed when those things happen.
Wow, yeah. We want to do it, but the body doesn't participate with the mind and what it's telling us to do. Once again, let the people know how they can connect with you on Facebook, Instagram, and give your website again.
Yep. So they can reach out with my
Canva.
books, as well as my course, as well as my one-on-one. And I've got 3 gifts for everybody. And they can get all that at kamknight.com. One is triple your reading memory concentration. The other is a deeper dive into this topic of internal resistance, so they can understand what those criteria resistance uses to hold us back and other things related to it. And then I've also got a free guide called Beat Burnout, because right now we're at a point where a lot of us getting overextended, and they can learn why burnout happens and how to keep ourselves from it.
All right, you guys, I put it over in the comment section on Facebook and on YouTube, www.camknight.com. Make sure you guys check him out. I thank you so much for joining me on today and understanding that things happen, but you are here for the reboot, and you will be part of all of our wonderful edits and reposts and reshares for this week. You guys, make sure you check his book out and follow him to get inspired more, not just on resilience, but elevating your business and much more. Do you have any events that you want to let us know about that's coming up, because people are listening from all over?
No, I don't have any event right now, but definitely check out camknight.com for the books, the course, the one-on-one, as well as the free gifts that they can get.
All right, thank you. Continue having a great evening, and we'll have to bring you back on the Stub Show to talk more about resilience, faith, and taking those leaps of faith. Miss Tina Panariello from New York, she said it is all so true. We thank her for joining on today. She's world known. I think she was in the book of Guinness World Record. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, she's done some amazing things. She's been on the show before. So we thank you. You have a great evening. If you want to hang out, you can. If not, we will invite you back on again to talk more with us here on the Stub Show.
All right. I'll try to hang back and finish the show off with you and your other guest.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoy my first guest. My next guest is coming up right now. And let me tell you guys, he encouraged me a lot when I was sitting here thinking about some of the problems that I was having here, trying to run everything, on today with the reboot of the Stub Show. But when he said that, you know what, it made me think about how much our mind can overwhelm us and put us into worse situations because we listen to what the mind is saying, and it's not always saying positive things. So if you think that everybody is always thinking positive, you got another thing coming. You got to fight the mind to make sure it stays in the positive zones. So we're getting ready to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back here on the Stub Show. You guys don't go anywhere. I'm bringing my guest up next.
I am seeking book authors to become a guest on our show. Now, it was Instagram Live, but now we're on all three platforms: Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. So this is your way to grow and reach more people. Don't forget to email us at thelofnetwork@gmail.com. And you can become a guest on the show. Author Danny Martin from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Mr. Martin wrote into the Stub Show and said that one of his biggest challenges that he has faced so far in life wasn't the things that you can see on the outside, but it was internal. And like most of us, we all have moments of doubt. He questioned himself and was wondering if he was even capable of becoming the person that he wanted and knew that he could be. So early on, Mr. Martin says that he had realized that success wasn't about luck, talent, or perfect timing. It was all about taking ownership of the mindset, your habits, and your daily standards. So, with that realization, it changed everything for him. He stopped waiting for confidence and started building it through actions. He stopped looking for external validation and started focusing on internal growth. And that's where the message of his book, It Begins With Me, was born. So let's welcome Mr. Martin to the stage as he lets us know more about his greatest transformation, which he says happens when we decide to lead ourselves first. Let's now welcome Mr. Danny Martin to the show.
Hello.
Welcome. How are you doing on today?
Wonderful. Thank you for asking. And how are you?
I'm great. You see, your promo happened to work. Your introduction video worked. In the beginning, the other one didn't work as well. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing.
We're moving in the right direction.
Yes, we are. We're elevating. That's the point of today, to help our audience to understand that they need to build resilience and to stand in there and keep going so that they can elevate up and not stay and go down. So, how's the weather where you are on today?
It's chilly out this way. So it's like this time of year, it's a roller coaster ride in Michigan. It could be 70 degrees one day and it could be 20 degrees the next.
Oh, you can have fun with that. We're warming up here in the DC area, so I'm excited about that. I don't want no more cold weather. So we're going to go ahead and get into your interview because we're running a little behind, and I want to make sure that we're able to talk with you. So let's start things off with your definition of resilience. What does it mean to you?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So resilience to me is the ability to stay aligned with who you are. So, regardless of what's happening around you. So with that, it's really important to understand your surroundings and who you're working with and the people that you're surrounding yourself with. If you have positive people and influences around you, then that's going to help lift you up. And if you're continually surrounding yourself with people that constantly make excuses, then you may tend to gravitate towards those responses. So it really is important to realize who you keep around you, who your support mechanism is or are.
Yeah, that is true. They say if you hang around, well, this is the saying they always said: if you hang around 5 bums, you will become the 6th. If you hang around 7 alcoholics, you'll become the 8th. It's all about who you hang around. You hang around 10 successful people, you'll become the 11th. So we thank you for that. You got a little blur to your screen. Just want to let you know that, so you know, but we can definitely hear you on here. So my next question to you, because when we think about the word resilience, we think about being strong. But what are some of the common misconceptions that people may have about actually being strong and resilient?
Well, I think sometimes people confuse strength with resilience. I think, I believe that when it comes to resilience, if you have an end in mind, then you can always be moving forward towards that end. If you're continually creating momentum and making decisions that are aligned with your core values, which for me, my core values are faith, health, family, integrity, and contribution. So 90% of the decisions that we make on a day-to-day basis can be made for us if we are in congruence with our core value system. So it's resilience is the ability to be able to continue to stay aligned with our core values.
Mm-hmm. So how does community and support influence our ability to stay resilient?
Well, I think we touched on that a little bit about surrounding yourself with positive influences, and again, it goes back to if you tend to, you're the culmination of the 5 people that you hang around with. We talked a little bit about that for a second, and that's the community that you're surrounding yourself with. So it's important to, if you're in business, to have people that are encouraging you towards your business goals. If it's about relationships and you want to find out more about quality of relationships, then you need to find answers and talk to people that are that know a lot more about relationships and say that you do, or wherever you're missing that piece, to be able to have a productive conversation or look internally to figure out what's going on inside of you, whether it's your mental state and how you're thinking about the relationships that you're trying to build, or if it's you and your emotions. We're emotional beings, and you talked about that earlier, which I thought was fantastic. We can either get stuck in our emotions, or we can recognize them for what they are and know that we can replace our negative emotions with positive ones once we recognize that. But we have to recognize it first. We have no idea what a good day is without understanding what a bad day is, right? We can't understand what a bad relationship or a good relationship looks like without knowing if we were never in a bad relationship. Same thing with our day-to-day, whether it's employment and our job. Sometimes we feel stuck in our job because it's a means to an end. We get a paycheck, we pay our bills. But is it a good job? Is it a great job? We really don't understand that unless we take the time to think about that. And that could be as simple as writing it down. I call it taking a personal inventory. When you can take a personal inventory of your strengths and your areas of improvement. I never call them weaknesses. I think it's weaknesses is defeating, and it's an opportunity for growth. I made a long time ago, I made a commitment to learning and growth. And I found many mentors, many of them I never met before, but all authors like there's so many like Tony Robbins and Brendan Bouchard and Lewis Howes and many other names that I can throw out there that are my personal mentors, but I've never met them before. Mm-hmm. But it's the content that I continually fuel myself with to be able to move forward and create a positive mental state.
I like that. I like that. And it's funny that you said they're your personal mentors, but you never met them before. I'm the same way. You know, you're like, oh, wow, this person. And then don't let me find them on Instagram. I really think that I know them then, because I'm like on social media. I'm like, oh, wow, they're saying this, they're saying that. But that's good. And I love that you also said, basically, you can't have one without the other. You can't have a good day or know what a good day is if you haven't had that bad day. But who wants to have the bad day? Nobody wants to go through that bad feeling. But it feels so good when that good day comes after you experience the bad. So you hate the storm, but you love it when you get to the rainbow and when it's over. So how do you personally how would you encourage someone to personally stay confident within their visions when other people around them are doubting them, or when results don't show, or things are moving along slow?
It really is recognition. You have to stop, pull back for a second, and think it through. If you're not finding the answers that you're looking for with the community that's around you, then you need to find it elsewhere. It may be your childhood friend that you have a personal relationship with that is certainly not the most influential person in your life, but you have a committed relationship with them and you never want to see them go by the wayside, and you'll always have that relationship with them, but you have to understand what their value is to you and your goals. So you limit your exposure to that person, and then you recognize on the flip side of that, who is that positive influence. You may not exactly like that person either, but if that's the person that you need in order to be able to move the needle in the direction that you want to go, you need to spend more time with that person and develop a relationship that is more cohesive if there's challenges in that relationship. So it works on both sides, but you have to recognize what their value is to you personally. And are they driving you, or are they bringing you down?
That's good. I'm glad that you said that, because a lot of people want to, you know how it is with your childhood friend or that family member or someone that you're close to. You want to bring them with you. You don't want to let them go, or you just feel like I have to, be with them or stay with them or be their friend forever. And a lot of times, like you say, you just have to limit the exposure. You have to cut them off completely. You just have to limit your exposure to them. Like, do I hang with them 7 days a week, or do I see them twice a year? That type, and not feel bad about it. So many times we feel bad for those types of things. So I want to ask you, before we go to a break, the question that I asked Kam, which was, what was that major thing that happened to you in life which made you change your perspective or change the way you looked at life? Because we all have something that happens and make us that aha moment, like, and it may be several, but give us a good one. That one.
Yeah. So a good one was, I really took a hard look at myself internally in terms of where I was from a mental perspective. I was doing things that I had bigger goals in my mind. And I had 3 young children that are my beautiful kids. They are my rock. They are my motivation. And it seemed like it was one day that I woke up and I said, I want to be a better father to my children. I want to be a better son to my mom. I want to be a better person. I want to do things. I want to be able to contribute more. I want to have a relationship spiritually with God and Jesus. And I want to do all of these things. And I'm not there. What do I need to do? And I broke down, and I realized that a massive change needed to take place. And it was that pivotal moment in my life that I knew I needed to make a commitment to myself first, And well, first, my faith, second to myself, and third to my children. So it really was that it became an imbalance that I needed to create balance with. And that really changed my life at that point. And that was probably 20 years ago.
Yeah, that aha moment that wakes you up and make you pay attention and say, I need a change. Because people always say, well, when will it happen, or when will I know? It sometimes happens just like suddenly. You wake up and, like you say, you change your faith, the way your actions and the things that you're doing, your community and the people that you're around, and the things that you're doing, and then your life just changes for the better. But you have to start doing it better. We're getting ready to take a quick break, but before we do, let the people know how they can connect with you on Instagram and Facebook, and if you have TikTok too.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So it's all Danny Martin Success, and my website is DannyMartinSuccess.com.
I'm gonna get this in the chat for you guys so you can check it out on the website. We're getting ready to take a quick break, and we'll be right back here on the Stub Show, you guys. So don't go anywhere. Let's see. Here I go. Moving things around. Let's make sure I move them around right. You guys remember, also, I'm on Instagram at _Stubs_show. Remember, if you comment in the comment section, we'll be able to see it, hopefully, and I'll be able to read your questions or your comments out loud. So go ahead and comment. Let's get ready to take this quick break. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed that brief break. Remember, you guys, I am looking for commercials. I am looking for your event flyers. I am looking for music. I am looking for more guests. So if you would like to be a part of future shows, just shoot me an email at the LOF network at gmail.com, and you could be a part of the show. You know, you guys, I'm sharing this on all different platforms. So I'm definitely going to connect you with a bigger audience or new people that aren't currently following you. So come on over to the Stub Show and have your commercial played. You don't just have to have it on YouTube. Your video can be here as well. So bring it on over here. We're getting ready to continue our conversation with Mr. Martin, Danny. Mr. Danny Martin, you put them together. And then we're going to bring Mr. Knight back to the stage and get ready to end out our interview for today on the topic of resilience. We all need it. It's like faith. They go together. So let me add him back to the show. All right, Mr. Martin, while we were on that break, I hope you enjoyed it. I have my final question for right now for your single interview, and then I'm going to bring Mr. Knight back if he's still in the studio, and ask you guys a few final questions to end out the show for today. But my next question for you is, if someone is watching today and feels stuck or discouraged, what is one small step they can take tonight or this week to start building more resilience?
Yeah, I think it goes back to recognition, and then commit to act. Commit to take one action, one small step towards a change, whatever direction that they feel that they need to go into. Make that change, and that will build and create momentum. And then you can build on that and make another choice, another decision, and build on that. So it's really about recognition and then making a quick decision.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Let me see if Mr. Knight is. Oh, he is here. Cam is still in the building. I'm going to add him to the stage. While if you have any upcoming events or anything that you would like to promote your books, where can people purchase your books at? Anything that you would like to say before we bring him back and we get ready to end the show?
One thing that I want to offer is I'd like to talk about my book in just a second, but one thing I want to add is that I really think it's important for people to start their day with gratitude. One thing that I do that has really been a game changer for me is planting. When I wake up in the morning, I plant both feet on the floor, and before I get up, I recite several things that I'm grateful for. And they're never the same things, but it's often about my kids or faith or family and that kind of thing. But it's also appreciating all the things that we tend to take for granted every single day. And I've used this analogy. If you can imagine getting a paper cut, and now you really realize how often you use that one little small part of your body, right? Because you always end up, when you're washing your hands or doing something, you feel that pain. So it's taking the little things for granted, but also recognizing that, if we wake up grateful, that sends a message throughout the day. But also with my book, It Begins With Me, a sales blueprint. You can find that on Amazon. Or on my website, which I also have several courses. There's a 10-course program that goes right along with the book. And that's also about finding the end in sight with your goals.
That's good. You guys, make sure you check out his book. Did you give your Instagram?
It's Danny Martin Success, yes.
Okay, Danny Martin Success.
Danny Martin Success, yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, you guys, make sure you check him out. And if you go to the Stub Show Instagram and Facebook, we'll be sharing their information so that you can connect with them more. Oh, there we go. We're all three on the show. Look at your girl. She's working the system now. Hold on, let me unmute you. Yes, thank you. Thank you for waiting, Mr. Knight, to join us again. So I also I have a question that I wanted to ask you before we got you off too. Also, if someone is watching, same question, and they feel stuck or discouraged because I didn't get a chance to ask you that, what is one small step they can take tonight or this week to start building their resilience?
So the suggestion I'm going to give is not just for tonight or this week, but something to apply consistently. And it goes back to self-talk. In fact, there's a specific statement that if a person repeats on a regular basis, they can have huge shifts in their life. And I've traveled to over 100 countries, and over the last 15 years, it's taken for me to narrow it down to this one statement. Are you guys ready for it?
Come on.
I'm a do it now person. I easily do things now. I easily accomplish my goals right away. And there's a lot of psychology behind this statement, because when a person says, I'm a do it now person, it creates an identity. Remember, I talked about resistance goes through a bunch of criteria to decide if we should do something. So if we want to do something and we have an identity that I'm a do it now person, it's going to make it easier for us to do. Now, the challenge of doing things is that it can oftentimes be annoying and painful to take action, which is why their second statement is there. I easily do things now. It makes it easier to do the things that we are wanting or needing to do. Now, the challenge of that is it's easy to do a lot of stuff and spin in circles and do a lot of busy work that doesn't take us anywhere, which is why the third statement is there. I easily accomplish my goals right away. It helps the brain focus more on targets to move us toward. So if we can repeat, I'm a do it now person, I easily do things now, I easily accomplish my goals right away on a regular basis, I mean like 10, 20, 30 times a day, day in and day out, you'll be surprised just how much more you start doing naturally and easily, oftentimes without a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And when we do more, we accomplish more. So
that's
that
correct.
would be my recommendation.
And it goes right along with what Danny said when he said, you wake up in the morning, put them feet planted on the ground as if your feet is the root or the seed going into the ground, and say what needs to be rooted in so it can come on out. So that's
Yeah.
good. We're going to,
So every morning, wake up and do what Danny says, and then right after, repeat some self talk.
yeah, but they all together.
Yeah.
Everything is that self-talk. When you put your feet in that ground and you wake up, anything you say out your mouth need to be positive so that your mind can go that way. So one final question, I'm gonna give you guys 60 seconds each to answer it, and then we're gonna get ready to end the show for today. I hope that the people are encouraged. I know that they are. I'm encouraged. My final question is for the older people that may be watching on today, who feel like it's too late. What advice would you give to someone that's starting over professionally, kind of like me doing a reboot later in life right now? So let me say that again. What advice would you give to someone starting over professionally later in life? And this is for, let's say, my 40 and over crew.
Do you want to go ahead, Danny?
Yeah,
I mean,
thank you.
it's
So
not old, but I mean, it's looked at as old in business world. If
Yeah.
you're not rich by 20, they're like, oh, you're not going to get it.
you rebuild the same way that you do anything. You do that one decision at a time. But it starts with ownership. You don't blame. That you take ownership. So from there you create structure and small wins and consistency, and you move forward with that. So that's how you move past that hardship or that redirection.
All right, go ahead,
All
Kim.
right. So great answer. And that voice that I'm too old has been in my head since I was in my 20s. Even in high school. I remember in junior high, I saw a book on note taking, and my mind was like, "Oh, it's already too late for that." And the thing that helped me get over it, and I heard it sooner than later. I heard it in my 30s, was you're never too old, and it's never too late to start from scratch. Once I heard that, it changed everything. Now I don't even think about age and should I do this or not. And I've started things at a much later age that I normally wouldn't. Like I started taking salsa and bachata dancing and things
Oh,
of that
okay.
nature because the I don't think about it anymore. Like you're never too old and it's never too late to start from scratch.
Yeah, never lose your youthfulness. When you see that 80-year-old or 70-year-old that's still running, sometimes faster than you, knees look like they're working better than you, and you're like, how old are you? And it's
Yeah.
because, they didn't worry about age. They just constantly live in life, and that's so important to just live life. I thank you both for joining me here on the Stub Show for the first show, the first episode, the reboot of the Stub Show. So you will see yourself all over my social media platforms this week, and we're talking about what we all need for this year, which is resilience. I know that the people were encouraged, but before you go, I do want to make space because it's 8 o'clock and we got to get on up off of here. I want to make space for you to say whatever you want to say to close out, but make it quick. Whoever wants to go first, take the lead.
Go ahead, Danny.
Remember that life is too short not to take action today, and your goals are never too big to succeed. Your success is you have to take accountability and ownership for your own success. Don't rely on anyone else for that.
Thank
And
you.
I'll leave with wanting doesn't equate to having. Just because you want something doesn't mean you'll take the necessary steps to go after it because parts of your own self are going to hold you back. And it's important not to let those parts derail you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. I'm getting ready to close out the show. I thank you for being on the show on today. And I thank you both for coming out virtually with the Stub Show. And we will stay connected. You guys make sure you check out their websites to get the book. Cam said he's giving you guys a gift. Does that mean that the book that what you're giving away is free today on your website?
Yeah, 3 free guides. Yeah.
Oh, you guys go onto the website, kamknight.com, and also make sure you visit DannyMartinSuccess.com and show these fellas some support. I thank you guys for being here on the Stub Show. I will see you next time.